Have you ever stopped to wonder why clocks move clockwise? It feels so natural that we rarely question it. The hands sweep from the top, drift to the right, dip down, and return to where they began. But that direction isn't random. It isn't based on physics, and it's not something built into time itself. The reason clocks go clockwise has everything to do with where they were invented and which way shadows moved thousands of years ago. Why do clocks go clockwise? Let's find out right here on History of Simple Things. To understand this, we need to travel back long before mechanical clocks existed. The earliest timekeeping devices weren't gears and springs, they were shadows. Ancient civilizations, including those in ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia, used sundials to track the passage of the day. A sundial works by placing a stick, called a gnomon, upright under the sun. As the sun appears to move across the sky, the shadow cast by the stick shifts position. That shifting shadow became humanity's first clock hand. Here's the crucial detail. In the northern hemisphere, the sun appears to move from east to west across the southern part of the sky. As a result, the shadow on a horizontal sundial moves in a very specific direction, from left to right. If you were standing in Europe or North Africa watching a sundial, you'd see the shadow sweep in the same direction modern clock hands move today. In other words, clockwise is simply the direction the shadow traveled on Northern Hemisphere sundials. This wasn't a deliberate design choice made centuries later. It was an inherited tradition. Mechanical clocks began appearing in medieval Europe around the 13th and 14th centuries. By then, sundials had been used for millennia, and people were already accustomed to reading time in that particular direction. Early clockmakers followed tradition, designing tower clocks to move like a sundial shadow. One of the earliest surviving mechanical clocks, built around 1386 in Salisbury, didn't even have hands. It simply rang bells. By the time clock faces with rotating hands became standard, their direction was already culturally fixed. Interestingly, if mechanical clocks had originated in the Southern Hemisphere, they might run the opposite way, since sundial shadows there move from right to left, reversing what we now call clockwise. The dominance of Europe in technological development during the Middle Ages ensured that its conventions spread globally. As European exploration and colonization expanded from the 15th century onward, so did European clock designs. Whether clocks were installed in colonial cities in Asia, Africa, or the Americas, they carried with them the Northern Hemisphere's shadow direction. There's also a fascinating astronomical layer beneath all of this. The apparent motion of the sun across our sky is caused by Earth's rotation. Earth spins from west to east. That eastward spin makes the sun appear to rise in the east and set in the west. The clockwise motion we see on a clock face is indirectly tied to Earth's rotation. It's not that clocks imitate the Earth directly, but they do imitate the shadow pattern created by Earth's spin. The term clockwise only emerged after mechanical clocks defined the direction, which later influenced conventions like tightening screws during the Industrial Revolution, turning it into a symbol of order and progress. Though most devices follow this standard, some novelty and experimental clocks run backward for artistic effect, often feeling disorienting because we're so conditioned to the traditional motion. Interestingly, analog clocks reflect another ancient legacy. the division of time into 12 hours. That system traces back to civilizations like ancient Babylon, which used a base 60 number system. 60 is highly divisible, which made it practical for fractions of time. That's why we still have 60 minutes in an hour and 60 seconds in a minute. The clockwise motion we take for granted is part of a broader inheritance stretching back thousands of years. When you think about it, a clock face is almost like a fossilized sundial. Even though modern clocks run on quartz crystals or atomic vibrations, the layout still echoes the movement of sunlight across stone. The circular dial represents the sun's daily arc. The sweeping hand mirrors a shadow-steady crawl. It's a mechanical memory of our ancestors watching daylight inch across the ground. And yet, in today's digital world, fewer people grow up reading analog clocks. Smartphones display time in numbers. There's no visible motion, no directional sweep. For younger generations, clockwise can feel abstract, something you learn in school rather than something you observe daily. Still, the direction persists in countless designs, from dashboard gauges to kitchen timers. It's embedded in culture. There's a poetic irony here. The direction feels universal, but it's geographically biased. Half the planet naturally experiences the opposite shadow motion. Yet because history unfolded the way it did, because mechanical engineering flourished in medieval Europe, our global standard reflects one hemisphere's sky. So the next time you glance at a clock, imagine standing in a dusty courtyard thousands of years ago. The sun is high overhead. A simple stick casts a thin shadow. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, that shadow slides across carved markings in stone. That motion, quiet, steady, dependable, became humanity's template for measuring time. Centuries later, gears replaced sunlight, but the direction stayed the same. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.